Game of Thrones. Was that the best episode of television ever, or was it hot trash that shit all over a 10-year legacy? We got a series of weaponized hot takes on this thoroughly foreshadowed bowl of dude soup.
Nice timing on the intro there.
Yeah, you nailed that intro.
You nailed
Almost
it.
getting better and better.
Well,
Not on James.
Oh, you got cut off last week?
last week was the whole thing.
I tuned in a little late to that
To
one.
be fair, James's intro, I thought that Omar cued it correctly.
Because I did the same thing you do, where I went on a something bowl of dude soup, but there was a beat and then a joke afterwards,
He had more.
which was supposed
And
to
then it
roll
cut
in,
off.
which was in the script. But Omar
He had more.
was so busy working off your cues that he went for it.
Instinctual.
It became a whole thing.
I've been trained. I've been trained a certain way.
Yeah, it was instinct.
We kept it in. We kept it
was
in.
funny.
It's content.
Roll
It was
with
funny.
it. Hey,
content.
it's content. It's live, baby.
It's content.
This content is brought to you by 3 sponsors: Robinhood, Squarespace, and Upstart. Wow. Whoa, boy. Too many sponsors. Got me all choked up. Robinhood is giving listeners of Dude Soup a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help you build your portfolio. You can sign up at dudesoup.robinhood.com. You can also go to squarespace.com/dudesoup to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. And go to upstart.com/dude to find out how low your rate can be on your new loan to settle credit card debt, pay student loan bills, all that kind of thing. All right, dude. Yeah, Game of Thrones. So there's really not a way to talk about this and be spoiler free.
No.
I guess what we can do right off the top is kind of put our pieces on the board about how we feel, so we can kind of declare our allegiance, so people know that the battle lines have been drawn about where we stand. I tried to get an array of opinions for this episode, so hopefully we have representations for everybody, and then we'll just get into the thick of it. So, Bruce, where do you stand?
I loved it. I thought it was great. It was one of those things where I was finally able to pull myself objectively away from objectively away from what was happening, because I didn't like what was happening as a viewer subjectively. I thought it was I was like, oh man, I can't believe that happened. I'm trying not to spoil it. I can't believe that happened. I really wanted blank to be great. But objectively, as a viewer of television, I was like, that was rad. It was a great turn. Kind of felt like it was coming, but I still wasn't sure, and that's why I liked it, because I wasn't sure. And then when it happened, I was like, it was like this big deep sigh. I was like, man, but that's how I felt about it. I'm totally in. Loved it.
Cool.
Yeah.
James, how do you feel?
I loved it as well. It felt very much like Game of Thrones to me, and what Game of Thrones does to its audience on a yearly basis. And I don't know. It just felt it. I was not surprised when I was watching it. I was like, can't wait till this is done so I can look what people are saying on Twitter, because I know everyone's going to hate this, because Game of Thrones does a lot of things that I think upset people, but don't necessarily crush them emotionally. Not necessarily emotionally I'm crying for a character or whatever, but crush them deep within their spirit of what they thought the show was or whatever. Yeah. And I thought the show did do that. And I had a feeling it was going to do that. And then ultimately the way the show looked and the spectacle of it is something you don't always get to see on the small screen. And so I appreciated that. So.
All right, Elise, where do you fall? Because you've been super into Game of Thrones for a long time, but not to devalue anyone else's investment in it. But you're on the subreddits, you're checking out all the fan theories.
I am a member of the Free Folk community
yeah.
Since its inception, really, since we broke off from those kneelers. I've been...
Schism, a grand schism.
Yeah, since the schism. And now they try to come into our subreddit and tell us not to post spoilers. That's what it's for, you kneelers. You fucking kneelers, get out. But I do have issues with this season of Game of Thrones.
Oh my.
Nevertheless, I have a fantastic time watching it still every week. I think I can separate myself from the fact that it's a TV show, and nothing that happens in this TV show is going to negatively impact my life.
Unless you name your children after
true.
characters of a TV show that you like.
That's wonderful.
You're going to do that?
People have.
Oh.
I like watching it. I like this episode. I thought there was a lot about it in terms of filmmaking that was masterful. There's been a lot about this season in terms of filmmaking that's masterful. I do think that people are being a little bit too reactive in ways that are unjustified. I think some people are totally justified in their reactions. And my stance is that the show has suffered from trying to do some rushed payoffs in the final season. And there are characters that their arcs have kind of fallen to the wayside in ways that didn't really necessarily do them justice. But I do think people have criticisms of characters that are totally unjustified, given that if they go back and they look at the history of the show, are really warranted. They just haven't been executed in the way that they really deserved to be this season.
Yeah.
Lawrence, what about you?
I'm much more on that track. I mean, I thought it was garbage.
I thought it was garbage, right?
But that's me. I'm comfortable being the strongest one here. I also just don't have, strongest opinion.
Strongest opinion.
Negative opinion.
We knew what you meant.
I also, and I've tried to be as open about this as possible, don't have a high tolerance for television. I just, to a degree, sort of detest the way that it tends to extract or mess with narratives to make it fit a structure. I've read all the books, and I love the books dearly, and I love the characters in the books, but the characters in the show are just a whole other thing now. So and I've seen seasons 1 and 2 of the show, and then various episodes because Stephanie still watches it, and then I've been watching this season. If I had just read the books and only seen the bells, I would think it was a joke. How different tonally it is from everything. That's just me, though. We also have a host of other people to come in and give their hot take opinions. Let's see here. I'm going to have to summon them one at a time. We have the hot take corner. Give them a look at that sad corner. It's just an empty curtain.
It could be a green screen.
It's not even a corner.
Yeah, it's not even a corner, really. But we'll have
break the
people
illusion.
dropping by.
The wall of heat.
Yes, the wall of flames.
we
Also,
go.
Omar, I hope you have that stinger ready to go.
The iron wall.
There it is. Yeah. So we'll have a variety of people around the office coming by to drop their bombs on us, and we will debate them hotly. But I guess that means we're signaling it now. We're getting into spoiler territory. to
Yes,
discuss the
spoilers.
episode.
In our defense, it's one of the
over
most
there.
watched shows in at least North America. And so if you are being spoiled, you're probably in the minority.
Next to the curtain, and the mic is on
The
the
thing
floor.
that looks like the thing from Beetlejuice.
First up, you saw him in this week's episode battling, I won't say who, but for spoilers, it's Euron Greyjoy.
You're on Greyjoy.
Yeah. All right. So what we're doing hot takes?
Yeah. Hot
right.
takes.
Drop your hot
All
take.
right,
in.
everyone's complaining about how bad the writing is, but they like the special effects on that stuff. The one thing that no one's talking about is that after Mr. Robot, we don't have any more good shows. So I'm just enjoying it while we have it.
It's not really a hot take about
God,
Game
we
of
have
Thrones,
take.
so
Adam.
many good shows. We
Give
have
us a
so
hot
many
take
good
about Game of
shows.
Thrones.
Drop it, Omar.
Or a hot take about Mr. Robot.
I mean, look, Game of Thrones can take a hot dump on my chest, and I'll still say thank you because it's still better than 95% of the trash that's out there. My hot take.
Thank you, Adam.
Who's your favorite?
take.
Who's your favorite character
Who's my favorite character?
this
They're
season?
all dead.
This season.
They're not all dead yet.
Favorite character this season was I like emo Jack Sparrow.
Can you say my name is Euron Greyjoy and I'm here to fuck the queen?
You just did it.
I'm here to let the queen peg me.
I'm Euron Greyjoy, and I like Queen Cersei's big fake lips.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
I don't think she has big lips.
Hot take.
Dare
They,
you.
they look so good. She looks like Jason Momoa fake.
Cool. There's this
Like natural
quick.
fake.
Yeah, it was a one-line thing.
Okay.
We're good, though.
I can leave. Can I go back to work?
Yes,
Yes.
you can. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
Oh, boy.
So one thing-
They're burning us up.
One thing
Ooh.
that Adam said that I want to make sure we're all on board with, even Lawrence, is that he did say it's 95%
Yeah.
better than everything else on television. Lawrence, is that true?
Well, if you don't like television, then that's like if you're colorblind and people
good
are asking you.
That's a good point.
Like if you don't.
My main problem with it now, and the reason that I wouldn't say that is
That's
'cause
okay. I want your opinion.
It doesn't understand what it is anymore.
Okay.
If it knew it were just a schlocky melodrama with a huge budget, that'd be fine. But it takes itself so seriously and it pretends to be more than it is now, which is just a soap opera with a really amazing budget. So it is and it isn't. If it understood its tone and had played with it a little more, then it probably would be the best TV. But instead, it keeps trying to be this very serious drama about characters that they want you to think are multidimensional and layered. And then they do stuff like the previous episode where they just flatten all those dimensions out to try and bend them into an ending. I understand that's logistics driven, but to go from characters that were written in a way that they have layers and motivations and complications to my friend's dead and I'm sad, just to like invent a plot trope to wrap up the story, to me is like it's self-sacrificing. It's a show that's acting in a way contrary to what it told you it's supposed to be, and that to me makes it the worst television. Which is a philosophical bullshit thing to say, considering there's so much talent going into it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of talent behind the cinematography and special effects, music, and acting. But I feel like it's just got a rotten core now. But hey, whatever, man.
A lot of people feel the way you do. I do not. I think I have been watching this show week to week for years, and I read all the books when I watched the first season. So I'm very keyed into the way I thought Game of Thrones should be. And I kind of always felt like it was going to head this way. Didn't want it to, as a storyteller. I like when good guys win. That's my thing. I love it. But I think the point of the show has always been what happens when, regardless of what your character's arc is, what happens when somebody makes a decision. And that to me this is what she did. Dany made a decision. She had decided that she had enough of fighting through bureaucracy, and she was going to do what she wanted to do with the power that she had. That's what it seemed like to me.
So, sorry, I don't want to dominate the conversation too much, but just to be clear, like let's get one thing out there.
Yeah.
There are some people who have a problem with what happened. They felt betrayed. They thought Dany was a good person, whatever. Yeah. I didn't think that. I was like, how is this story going to end? It's going to end with somebody conquering Westeros. That's the whole idea.
I know someone who cried because she was such a huge Daenerys fan and was so upset.
Okay.
If you didn't see it, she was burning people for seasons.
Yeah,
that's true.
When if you start to impress those characters onto people, like if you think that this is Jon Snow is obviously like the only pure character, and then Ned before him, the only two pure characters in the entire show, basically. Tyrion became that, but didn't start that way. So to impress that on Daenerys, I think is a little kind of self-insertion from the audience. I don't have a problem with that. I thought that was going to happen, and I hoped it would happen. Actually, I hoped that would set up a cool conflict, but it didn't. Instead, it was just her murdering everyone.
Yeah.
And to me, I put a little note in here. Somebody on Twitter said that it felt like Anakin from Episode 3, murdering younglings. His fall was known. Like anyone that can rub two brain cells together knew Daenerys was going to try to kill everybody, especially when they start setting up that Jon Snow is the rightful heir. It's just where it's going to go.
But see, that's the point. They made the decision. Eventually, someone along the way. Not everybody's a monster. Adolf Hitler wasn't a monster, but he made a decision at some point. Guys, he wasn't a monster his entire life.
We Godwin's Law this one, right?
No, I wanted a camera hit for that one. Omar.
He wasn't a monster his entire life, but he made the decision to become a monster at some point. At some point, he decided, "I'm going to kill a million."
I think to Lawrence's point, though, again, Hitler, but like, it was probably an incremental change. I don't think he came to a point where Hitler was like sitting on a wall, looking at a bunch of Jewish people,
right.
And then going like, all right, let's kill him.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is like an incremental change over time is how you like in your ideal world, it would have still ended with her doing something terrible, maybe even that, but you would have, once you were at that point, you wouldn't have realized you would, like, it's not.
It would have been predicated.
It would have been like, oh, well, it's like an escalator. Like she slowly moved to it, but you felt like it was an elevator.
Like it was like,
right?
bang.
Like it was like, boom, and we're at it.
It was them, it was the writers, as far as I can tell, and as far as it seems to me as a viewer, the writers had 3 episodes to make her break bad, basically.
What about Daenerys when she burned up the Tarleys?
So,
see, like to me, when she burned up the Tarleys last season, I was like, fuck, dude.
But she's very self-righteous, and she thinks that she is completely warranted in doing that.
Well, and so the show did a really good job of telling you, well, maybe she is okay on this one. Maybe she was all right burning up the Tarleys. Me, I was like, what? No, dude. No, you can't do that. Just be like, let them live, and they're your prisoner, or they decide to, whatever. They'll eventually come around. Don't just kill them. But she killed him.
I think the reason I like the show is because a lot of people talk about character arcs, but character arcs don't necessarily mean change. Sometimes character arcs just mean growth. Like Godfather isn't a movie; it's an amazing movie,
Sure, yeah.
And they have character arcs, but it's just the characters growing, not changing. Like literally, Don Corleone, he doesn't change. They don't change the whole time. They're just the same character, and they just kind of get better or more in tune with who they were at the beginning. And I think the reason I was okay with everything that's happened in Game of Thrones is because that's how it's always felt. It's always like Jon Snow in the first episode is like, I'm gonna do the right thing. Like I'm gonna do this. And then he does it. Like, and despite everything he sees and how many times he's backstabbed and murdered and killed along the way, he comes out of it and he goes, I'm gonna do the right thing every single time. Often to the detriment of
everybody around
hundreds of lives. Like, and it's just even Tyrion, who I would say is the closest to having character change. They make a point of telling you that as a young man, he was just this good person. He found this like young woman and he befriended her and everything, and then everyone shit all over him, and he drowned himself in alcohol to stop thinking about it. But as soon as the time came for he stopped drinking, he just reverted back to who he was at the beginning. Even Jaime, who people are upset about, like I don't think he ever changed. Like there was a moment in the last episode, the most recent episode, where Tyrion was like, "You always looked out for me," which is exactly what he did with Brienne in the episode 2 and 3 episodes prior or whatever. Like, because Jaime, people are like, "I can't believe they did Jaime like that." He just turned his back on everything, and I'm like, I think he kind of always was that. He was always this knight. He's like this weird knight archetype, and he always goes to her. He follows these orders, but then he also protects the innocent. And he's like, in some ways, it makes him one-dimensional, but in other ways, it makes him complex beneath.
How does him shoving the kid out the window jive with that?
Well, I mean, it still falls in line with everything.
Yeah.
He's always loved Cersei.
He always defaults to the same
in real
impetuses.
life, people don't have like character arcs in real life. Some people can go through life doing some really good things and then some bad things. Like there's a gray area to people, and I think Game of Thrones is the most interesting when it has characters who exist in a gray area and aren't just a Cersei that are like even Cersei, like she's one of my favorite characters on the show, not because I agree with her, but because she's such a complex character. And I always think of her along the same parallel as Arya, where Cersei was born into a family where she was expected to uphold certain traditions and fulfill a certain role because she was a girl, whereas Arya was interested in the things her brother was interested in. She was interested in a certain life, and their only difference was nurture. Cersei's father was like, no, you're going to become a lady, and I'm going to sell you as soon as I can, whereas Arya's father said, I'm going to get you a dance or a sword instructor, a water dance instructor, or whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of water dancing,
and,
we got somebody in the hot seat real quick.
Oh, okay.
In the hot take corner. Sorry, Elise, we'll come right back to you. I promise. Who's in the hot takes right now? Whoa!
Wait,
okay.
All right,
Couldn't
Jacob,
see who it was.
drop your hot take on us.
All right. It's pretty room temperature. It's a slightly warm take.
Oh.
Okay,
I mean, but that's hot for Jacob.
Scalding
Yeah.
take for Jacob. Yeah.
But I've liked these past 2 seasons, but I think that having less episodes and more big spectacle has been the biggest problem, and has been the one thing dragging on the show for me, is that it all goes really fast and we don't get as much of that character stuff. Like Elise talked about Cersei, and I was really bummed at how little Cersei there was in this season, because I was like, oh yeah, Queen Cersei, she's going to be doing all this crazy stuff in King's Landing, but every scene she's just kind of hanging out, staring out the window, waiting for all the stuff to come. And I think that's been the worst part of the past couple seasons, is just not enough. There's not enough room for all the things I like about Game of Thrones. I like the battles, though.
Yeah.
Hot takes.
It is interesting. I
Thank
think
you, Jacob.
before we go back to
Sorry, you had a
finishing
point.
and just building off his point, it's interesting because I remember watching like season 2 and season 3 and all that stuff week to week, and so many people complained about how it dragged in the
slow it
middle.
was, yeah.
But those are the moments that people wish they had now.
Yeah.
And it is weird. It is an interesting flip flop because
It's probably not the same people saying both. Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
That's what I tell myself whenever a
it's-
community says two
There's
conflicting things.
lots of voices coming out,
Yeah.
but I do think that seemed to be the loudest criticisms of Game of Thrones in the early seasons, were that it was like, I love the show, I just wish it just didn't drag.
Yeah.
And also it skips all the battles. 90% of the battles are people talking about the battles.
I mean, that's the way the book handled it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I mean, first of all, writing a battle is stupid.
yeah, it's not going to work.
But I loved the way that they did it in the book, and that you jump between perspectives, so you never have good information. It's always second or third hand. You hear about a battle, but you don't even know if that's what happened.
But you
then
can't
the
do
show
that
just
in
became
television.
omniscient narrator. You can. It just requires better writing.
I want to hear Lisa.
I don't think
I want
it's
to
right.
hear Lisa finish
Oh,
her
I
point.
mean, I don't know exactly what I was saying. Beyond that, I think the gray area is the interesting area. The character that might have been influenced by something and that swayed them. Otherwise, I
mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
water dancing.
sorry, Lisa,
I totally-
I totally threw you
nature,
off.
Nurture kind of thing. The difference between characters and their motivations and stuff.
Well, I guess you guys are kind of making the same point in that gray area of characterization has sort of fallen away. Because you need characters that, kind of like Bruce was saying, take decisive action because you also have to end the narrative. So I guess to me, it was just a bummer that decisive action had to come in the form of, and this is debatable, but to me, and the show to me at least sent this message pretty clearly, came in the form of a powerful character going insane. And like just snapping and then killing everyone because that's how you wipe the table clean.
Well, my biggest thing is like, okay, like they've definitely set up throughout the seasons her doing really
They 100%
vicious
have.
things, and
Yeah.
so people that are shocked by this turn, you shouldn't be shocked. It's poorly executed,
Yeah.
is the issue, but there's nothing shocking about it. She's made deals with people to grant them safe passage and then revoked that and burnt them alive, and she's done all this stuff. It's just a matter of this season has kind of done everyone dirty on a level.
I
on a level.
think the major difference that I can think of between her moment here and her moment in other places is that the show never previously showed you when she took her anger out on those that did not directly like upset her. So she did crucify all of the people in Mayreen, right?
Well, she crucified someone's father who his son said, well, my father didn't
But
crucify the slaves.
The only ones
you
they
know?
show are the ones that she has like intense dialogue with or confrontation with beforehand. It's generally like this person represents the bad people. And then, because like I even think about when she took over all the Dothraki by locking those guys
in the temple and burning
in a
it.
temple
Oh,
and
yeah.
burning it to the ground
right.
or whatever. And it was like, but like
Who else is in there? You don't know.
there's a lot of people in there. They just didn't focus on them.
Yeah.
And
Well-
so I think this is the first time the show changed its perspective and was like, all right, she's going to do what she's kind of done the whole time, but we're going to show you the
innocence.
difference.
So-
And I will say that there were
But why is she angry
a
now?
million times more the innocence.
Well, I think James is implying that she always was. They just
She
never
always was.
showed you.
She always was. Well, maybe to a lesser
Well,
a
lesser
lesser
extent.
I think-
degree, but like, or it didn't have such a wide impact.
Yeah, they're really
But-
playing up because they like do her up in makeup to make her look crazier. They have her act crazier.
Well, no,
She just
they didn't.
slept
They
for
didn't do
days
any
or
of that.
whatever.
They absolutely did all of that.
Well, hold on. They justified it. They had a line where she hadn't slept for days. They said all those things.
Do you
So
know-
what
So-
makes this different than every other time?
Well, no, she hadn't slept for days, and so you're saying they put crazy makeup on her? No, like that was just her not
well, no,
sleeping
he's
for
saying
days.
he's saying
So
her
why-
appearance was different for this than in the other one. She probably looks great,
Yeah.
and she
She
does
was all
what she
put
does.
together
She's
and
the
she
queen
was
or
calm and
whatever.
collected.
Well,
the
she
show-
had a breaking point.
the show also didn't
And
say she
my
hasn't slept for
question,
days.
dying.
my
That's
question,
kinda
but my
lame.
question is, why is this her breaking point
Yeah.
now? Why hasn't she broken before when other horrible things have happened?
She's
it's
been
like
through far worse.
I mean, they had to make her break. They had to make her break
I
to
don't
make
know that
the
she.
twist
I
happen.
don't know that she had been too far worse. And the thing is that like she went through terrible stuff when she was powerless, and that was the catch, right? Before she went through really, really terrible stuff where she didn't necessarily have all the power she had now, and that, in my opinion, was the point. That was where she had all the power in the world, and she could go one way or the other on this one, and she went the wrong way.
Except in
morally.
dialogue, she was like, "No one loves me, so I'll kill everybody." That's literally what she said. It wasn't like I feel powerless. It wasn't
I
anything.
don't know that she said.
Yeah,
no
I
one
mean-
loves me.
She said
So
that in the
here's-
words.
Said,
Here's
I
the
won't.
thing.
She said, I
She
won't.
tried to kiss John, and she's like, "No one loves me."
Yeah.
No, she said, if I can't win them with love, I'll win them with fear.
Yes.
Because that scene, I mean, they do kill Missandei, and it's like a huge emotional moment for her. But that scene where she's sitting in the Great Hall and everyone's around Jon Snow, and she's sitting by herself and she's like watching, I think that's a more like telling scene for Daenerys and what her character is and what she really cares about.
That's been the situation she's been in her entire life. So why is this one so much
But
worse?
that's not true. She had Varys and Tyrion and Jorah and Jon Snow recently and all that other stuff. I mean, like she's had
Still
all
has
these.
all those people.
I think a lot of it has to do with her
She
support.
lost Jorah.
She had a base of support,
That's true.
basically from the point where she had acquired power, which is getting those dragons and people going, okay, all right, there's something here. She's serious here. And first of all, she had called Drogo, who was basically like her first dragon. And she was like, okay, I can literally ride him to whatever solution I want. She lost him and then did something crazy.
Yeah, burnt that witch alive or whatever.
Like she did something crazy immediately. Fuck the witch.
She burned her on the pyre.
Killed her real bad. And then also did something crazy and then kind of came out of it. And I think every single time it's basically gone to this thing where she goes to this point, loses her support group, and then does something crazy every single time.
Comes out of it better.
It's kind of gotten bigger and bigger. Yeah. And I think between losing Jorah and Missandei, and then Tyrion is supposed to be the one who's in her corner, but is perpetually going behind her back and backstabbing her and like not like doing. I think that's another thing that I like about the show is that the morally right characters are terrible. Jon Snow is constantly lying and breaking promises and doing things for the greater good.
He made an oath.
I made an oath. It is at odds with his own supposed morality.
Yeah.
And that to me makes him more interesting, but I also don't see him as a pure hero in the same way. Sorry. I see like as a pure hero. Oh, hot take.
Ooh, you got one.
And so I think that is the compounding that she received every single season, where ultimately she does something and then there's loss, and then she's like, I can't believe. And then this one was another thing where it's like Tyrion was like, just trust me, we'll get through this, it'll be fine. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so in the same moment that happens, then she immediately knows also that Jon, the other support group,
has also betrayed her
immediately.
Yeah, no, I know.
After she can't tell anyone. She basically lost 2 kids doing what he asked her to do, right? Yeah. 2 children doing what he asked her to do. And now she's losing everything else. She's like, there's nobody. So I'm just going to do what I think is the right thing to do.
Well, a Targaryen alone in the world is a terrible thing.
But I think,
whatever they say.
I think I understand what you're saying. There was definitely an image shift. And again,
there was
pacing. It's a pacing issue. That being said, episodes don't grow on trees.
Yeah.
They do cost money. And I think there probably was a point where they came to a choice where they were like, either we can have the Battle of Winterfell.
No, it was the choice of the showrunners.
No, but I think there's still money. There's still money involved. I guarantee you there's still a discussion of cost. Like
spreading that money across episodes. But I think, HBO, they said make as many episodes as you want, and they said they only wanted to make that many.
I know. I have a feeling that they probably made that decision once a monetary amount was discussed.
Well, if I may intrude real quick, something we can all agree on is that we need to listen to our advisors. Much like our financial advisors in Robinhood can provide you assistance in achieving your financial dreams. Robinhood is an investing app that is sponsoring this podcast, and it'll allow you to buy and sell stocks, ETFs. I keep wanting to say EFT. I don't even know what that is. Options and cryptos, all commission-free. Take power into your hands like Danny did with a dragon. Other brokerages can charge you up to $10 for every trade, but Robinhood doesn't do that. No commission fees at all. So you can trade all the stocks to your heart's content, keep all your profits. They also provide very easy to understand charts and market data. Think of it as your hand advising you about how to invest your money. You can place trades in just 4 taps on your smartphone. You can also view stock collections. So if you just want to invest in entire segments of the market, it makes it easy to do that. These collections are something like 100 most popular. So if you just want to go with the crowd, you can. Or if you want to stake out on your own, maybe put some money behind your beliefs about how society should be operated, you can do that too. It's like Danny did with her dragon. With Robinhood, you can learn how to invest in the market and build your portfolio, discover new stocks, track your favorite companies, and get custom notifications for price movements so you never miss the right moment to invest. And Robinhood is giving all of the listeners of Dude Soup a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help build your portfolio. You can get that today at dudesoup.robinhood.com. Once more, that's dudesoup.robinhood.com for your free stock. It's free stock for you, Danny. Sign up right now. Thank you, Robinhood, for the sponsorship. All right, back to what you were talking about. You guys present very good arguments for how all of this makes sense. And again, I think it's not the what, it's the how. And again, I keep going back to Anakin. There's an amazing story there. It just wasn't told in the movie.
Anakin had 8 hours. And this had 7.
More. Yeah.
So they're saying it's a total about 73 hours. So this had 70 hours of Danny and other characters building up. And I guess to my kind of what you were talking about, and I completely agree. It feels rushed. I get that it feels rushed. I understand that, but to me, it never did because I was the person complaining for the first 6 seasons how everything was boring until episode 2 and 9, and everything else was like, yeah, great character development, great.
You were the one.
But Bruce, maybe 3 seasons ago they thought, we'll do 8 seasons of this. We'll do 9 seasons of this, and then they went, now we want to make a Star Wars. We got to get out.
So it's funny because everybody's speculating on that, but no one actually knows that's the
no one
reason
knows.
they're
Well,
leaving.
then we may never know.
I just think imagine if someone came to you and said you can make a show for X amount of dollars. And this is again pure speculation. I'm just saying industry side of things that most people don't consider and may be completely wrong, but is also a possibility. If someone came to you and said you can make your show or a season for X amount of dollars, and then they said you can make as many episodes as you wanted, but you couldn't negotiate the monetary amount, would you choose to make less?
Oh, I see what you're
But
saying.
you yourself have been in a position where it's not we give you this much, make as many episodes as you want with it. It's we'll give you this much per episode.
We're going to give John 30 seconds to drop a hot take on us. Throw it to the hot take corner. John, what do you got for us?
Fuck pepperoni pizzas.
No, it's about
Fuck
Game of
grilled
Thrones.
cheeses.
It's about Game of
He's
Thrones.
gonna get there. He's gonna get there.
Yeah.
Peanut butter banana sandwiches are the best hot meal on the planet. I don't give a fuck what you think. Fuck a salad.
This is a podcast.
Turned off
Ooh,
his
don't
microphone.
even question
He's
me.
got a gun.
Go back to John.
It's a podcast.
got a
It's a
gun
podcast.
now.
John.
Don't even question me.
John, it's a podcast. They can't see what you're doing.
Hey,
Who
say-
did you
say
want to
what you're
win,
doing.
Mountain or Hound?
Click, click, boom. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, we need
Look.
to have a clack, clack, bang.
Hey, put some peanut butter and banana in between 2 pieces of bread. Butter the outsides. Grill it like a grilled cheese. And maybe I won't have to kill you.
All right, just go take John's mic. Alana's here.
Alana's actually here for an
Nice one,
actual
John.
hot take.
Yeah, that's a hot
job.
take.
Wasn't about Game of Thrones.
I don't know, peanut butter and jelly I like more than peanut butter and banana. Jelly balances it out a little bit.
He had
Go to the hot take corner.
He had a gun.
Don't question it. Yeah, he's got a.
Just handed me a gun out of nowhere.
And now
okay.
for a real hot take.
For an actual hot
What?
take.
All
give my
right,
hot
Alana, what's your hot take?
My hot take is that anyone who's saying that the ending is just disappointing because people were expecting too much or they were never going to like it is wrong. It's because the writing is bad and the characters are inconsistent. And instead of going through arcs and being developed, they now just throwing all that out the water, losing all their loyalties and everything that they've built because it doesn't matter anymore.
Boom.
There you go.
Job.
That's a
Hot
great
take.
take.
Writer,
All
thank
right.
you.
That's a great take.
That's the hottest take.
Hey, hold on,
Shit.
Alana. Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to diminish your hot take, but do you think that the audience was this shocked and disappointed and critical of the writing when Vegeta assumed the Majin powers after everything he
That
had
led to
been
the
through?
sweetest fight ever.
It did.
He just needed power to defeat Goku.
You just played yourself.
Except that I didn't
Yes?
think the CG. and the
Oh,
balls
maybe
was
they
that
were.
good.
I don't know. I don't know.
Alana said yes for the question.
How did the Japanese audience react when that first happened? When that manga came out and Vegeta, after being a good guy for so long,
He was
we
only-
thought he was changed. Nah. As soon as he could assume the power and become Majin and fight Goku again, he went for it. Oh, Vegeta is Daenerys? Wait, is it hurt my case or help my case that I'm comparing it to the writing of Dragon Ball Z?
I don't know who James is talking to anymore, Alana. So I'm not really sure.
It's probably himself, I think. I actually don't have an issue with the Daenerys thing because I'm okay with them like flipping the villain at the very end on their head. Like I kind of think that's interesting. I don't like what happened to Arya. That annoyed me more than anything. That like she's built up as this badass, she storms into the city and suddenly she's like, "Oh wait, I could die," and then just runs off and finds a horse. It's like, I know that you did that so that we had a character to follow through the city while everything was
But
happening.
why her?
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The Unsullied just suddenly murdering people. Like,
Unless she's gonna put on
Or
Jon
Jon's men
Snow's
suddenly murdering
face
people?
and then
That- I
kill
was totally fine with
Daenerys.
that.
Like,
And then
So
the
they wanted
Mountain
her to
really
see
annoyed
all the
me as well.
carnage?
Like, why did he suddenly stop being loyal to Cersei?
Who's that?
The Mountain.
Oh, the Mountain stopped being loyal because he hates Gregor more than he
Yeah.
loves
Yeah.
Cersei.
then more than he's a zombie.
Yeah.
Always has hated
guess.
Gregor. Always. They've always hated each other.
Yeah.
For as
Yeah.
long
They
as
gotta-
Yeah.
I think there's a weird thing where everyone's like childlike motivations, like whatever their most base emotion or drive was, came out in this
episode.
episode. Like
kinda like
everyone
that.
just reverted.
It's like somebody calling for their mom while they're dying. You know,
Yeah.
I get that. Thank you, Alana. By the way,
Thank you,
it's
Alana.
really hot over here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
really
supposed
hot
to be.
everywhere.
It's called a hot take.
hot take. Boo! Hit him, Omar. Yeah. Because I was disappointed with how they worked Jamie, but at the same time I was like, if
He's
he
always
knows,
loved Cersei.
Yeah, that's the
Always.
thing. If he knows he's at the end of his
they
life,
grew up together, brother and sister.
But my problem with Cersei's death is
We don't know she's dead.
we don't know that she's dead, but they set up that whole Valonqar prophecy thing that she was the death by the hands of
Which
the
was
little
never in the
younger
show.
brother. She went to Maggie the Frog. They showed it in the show
they did.
of her. Your children will die. I don't know if the Valonqar prophecy is in the show, but like I thought it was.
I believe there was one flashback of her as a little girl, but I don't think it was the exact same prophecy.
But it's just that
I don't remember.
there's just so much that's about the deaths in this season that is so unceremonious for all of these characters. The Arya thing that Alana complained about, I had the exact same thought of like they're using her. She's our Ellen Page from Inception to take us on a tour of King's Landing.
Oh, so you get to see all the bad stuff. From the street
Yeah,
level.
and if it was worth it for that horse thing at the end, I don't know that it
Well, 'cause
was
she's
in
gonna
terms
go
of
kill- she's gonna
symbolism.
go try to
However,
kill Dany now.
if it's only
And then probably
because
die doing it,
they
so
wanted
everyone's
to
dead.
see her see all this carnage, so that way she puts on Jon Snow's face to go kill Daenerys. Because I think another thing too is everyone was like, well, Arya did all this stuff where she trained with the faceless men and then she can, wear other faces. Like, we've only seen it once. We've only seen it with, what's his face? From
Frey.
The Frey.
The Frey.
yeah,
We only see it with
Walder
Walder Frey. Like, but we haven't seen it since. Like, shouldn't we see her do that again? And
a
I
good
think,
point.
I don't think she's going to do it again.
Maybe there will be in the last episode. She'll do the Mission
Yeah.
Impossible.
Easy.
She was Jon Snow the entire time.
Yeah.
Does she have to kill the person to take their face? Is that
That's
it?
unclear.
I thought she just grabbed it from that big room of
No,
faces.
I always thought it was magic driven. Like,
Well, I know that it's the actual face from the person. Like
Yeah,
she
it's their
takes their
physical
face
face.
off, but I don't know if she has to be the one to kill them.
I don't know.
In order to
no, absolutely not. I was under the impression she could put on any face she wanted to.
Well, in terms of the Arya thing in that episode, it wasn't my interpretation that fear is what drove her away. It's that the one good piece of
trusted
advice
the
that
hound.
she got was that this will consume you. If revenge, this list that you've made, is your only driving force, it will consume you.
Mm-hmm.
And the only kind of person that she trusted about that was the hound,
God.
someone who was physically consumed and was literally
like the big guy and the little girl pairing up.
I love it, but rolled my eyes so hard at thank you.
That scene
I'm like,
was
that's
rough.
the best
Yeah.
thing that she could say.
I mean, I think that there should have been more time. Basically, there should have been more
Yeah.
time
Always,
devoted
always.
to
Yes.
that moment.
Always.
I think
Yes.
it was the right thing because I think if she was going to listen to anyone, it probably would have been him.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he's like, this whole thing is falling down, and I'm still going to go upstairs.
He tells it like it
to
is.
try and kill my brother first.
So I get the dramatic trapping of that. Why wouldn't he have that conversation before they went into King's Landing? Did they think that they weren't going to go in there and die?
well, I mean, they were not counting on a flaming
They weren't counting on
dragon
her going
destroying
berserk.
everything while
they
were
were
doing
counting
it.
on a fight breaking out.
But
I mean, they were
But not the
they
whole thing coming
bypassed-
down on
They
them.
bypassed the whole army and were within the Red Keep. So I think their plan was spy action. They were going to do spy team stuff, and I think Sandor was like,
But they can still do spy team stuff. Like,
Well-
being in the castle, it's already for what's the word? Whatever. It was going to happen no matter what at that point. So why have the dramatic encounter? Like, if he was like, oh, you can't give your life away to revenge, he would tell her before they left.
Well, because I don't think he was planning on her dying. I think it wasn't until it became a suicide mission. It wasn't a suicide. It didn't appear to me, at least, that it was intended to be a
Yeah.
suicide mission until everything started falling apart and bursting into flames. And then that's when he stopped and said, this is a suicide mission. I'm going to keep going because this has consumed me. And because this is all I have. And I'm an unhappy person who can't enjoy anything
Yeah.
except for you and the knowledge of you being safe. So I'm going to tell you that now the conversation should have unfolded.
It shouldn't have been a
Unfolded.
3-minute conversation.
It shouldn't have been
Yeah.
him saying,
Yeah.
if you go up, you're going to die. And her going, you're right, and
Thank
then
you.
leaving.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been that. It should have been him explaining to her the stakes and at some point getting on his knee and grabbing her and then her pushing him away
Yeah.
and stuff. It should have been something that played out in a bigger
Faster,
moment because I think that would there wouldn't have been any interpretation that she was leaving out of fear, which didn't occur to
Oh, I
me.
didn't
But
get
I
that
think
at all.
I think some people have interpreted her as like, why would she run away from that? And I was like, I don't think that's what was happening. I think he was like, yo, this is gonna destroy you bad. But for him, it's too late. He has no choice. He's gonna go up there and fight him, just continue trying to stab this guy. Even if he waited 5 minutes, the guy would die in a collapsing rubble anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what I got from it. I mean, like, it was the same deal, and I Totally agree. Again, the same deal. Yeah, it should have been longer. That should have been more drawn out. I don't know why. I keep trying to figure out why I was fine with it. 'Cause I was fine with that. I was fine with Jamie going back. I was fine with all those turns because
I was fine with Jamie going back too.
yeah, I mean, like I was fine with all those turns because those are what the characters would have done in my head. And like if Arya, the only person that she trusts is the Hound, basically. And like she obviously trusts Sansa too, but she trusts the Hound implicitly because they've spent years together or months together, whatever it was. And if he's like, "Don't do this, you're gonna die," if I were in that scenario, I would have been like, "Okay, you got it. I don't really want to die killing this other person. Like I'll get her later, or she'll probably die in the fire. I'm good, and I'm gone."
I think there's certain things that happened where. And I don't know why. It's not that anyone liked it more or anyone watched it more or studied it more or anything. I think a certain thing happened where, when your eyes are filling in the blanks, you're only looking at space, but your brain does the math and fills in everything else. I think that's what my brain has been doing with the show for the last 2 seasons.
2 seasons. You and I have been fine with it.
Where it's like they're like, I don't need to see them crossing the Trident.
Yeah.
There's a line in there about they're in the Trident and then they're at this other place. I assume that time has passed and that nothing momentous has happened in that time. And now we are here at this moment where something important is going to happen. And so I just kind of filled in the blanks. And so even in a scene with that, which is not well paced and is rushed, which by the way, I get shitting on the writers for that. But when you're looking at a script that is already 200 pages, and someone's going, "We need more time for this Hound thing,"
18 characters, and
like I do see how that is daunting, but I think I just fill in the blanks and I go, "Oh, I understand what that moment was supposed to be between them," and it played for me. Elise was watching clips of like early sequences of dialogue in Game of Thrones.
The dialogue writing has taken a nosedive.
I think it's remarkably different, and I think it's the same quality, but I think the scenes.
I don't think it is either.
Well, here's the difference though. The scenes in those early episodes are like 3 times as long.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And it's the same lines, except now we don't have the stuff that the connective tissue that actually brings it all together.
Gods, I was strong then in those early seasons.
What?
Robert Baratheon, Bobby B.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. I feel like what they did was they basically had, if you think about it, they basically had a bunch of very storied actors. They got the best actors they could, and they wrote as many lines as they could because they kind of needed to churn time.
Well, they didn't have big battle sequences.
They didn't have these. They didn't have those moments. They also didn't know that it was going to become one of the biggest shows on the planet. But they were doing what shows do. Is churn, and they were hiring the best fucking actors they could to do it. And now what we're left with are probably the most inexperienced actors, with the exception of like the Lena Headey's and some of the older guys. But like everyone's died off, so now we're left with the least experienced actors and the least amount of time for them to actually have scenes with each other. And so what you're getting are just like every 5th line that you would get in one of those early scenes between Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon, just chewing the shit. And you're like, they're buds. They're really setting it up. And that's why I think it feels, I mean, I guess, yes, in a sense that is better writing because writing is editing. But like, I feel like the words are the same. There's just way less of them. And so we're only getting...
I hard disagree. I still think the writing is just worse.
Man, I never thought the writing was good. I always thought the writing was pretty good for what it was, but this is
subtle.
This is a television show. This is not a book.
It turned into people just saying out loud how they feel, which is bad writing.
Well, I know, but it has to motivate action because there's not much left.
Yeah,
and
right.
So for right now with the book, like when I was watching 10 episodes of season 3, let's say, it felt like I was reading a motherfucking book, and I was like, what am I doing? Why am I wasting 75 minutes on literally an 18-minute scene of dialogue? Like I was like, there's other way better television that I was watching at the time. That is why I feel like this is all paying me off now. And that's what the books were building up to always. They were always building up to huge conclusions, huge battles. This was never going to be Cersei and Jamie talking about something for 45 minutes, and then I guess we'll shake hands and move on. Like, that was never going to be that. It was always going to be huge battles, explosions. Like, that was the point of those seasons. That's what I got from those books when I was reading them. I was like, man, I can't wait for 6 and 7. Books 6 and 7. Woo! And I was like, I know 4 and 5. Boy, 5 is a slog, boy.
Yeah,
that's a long book, and it
a lot
sucks.
of diplomacy.
But I'm gonna get to those explosions. We're gonna get to them, and it's gonna be great because I got the character development. I got what I wanted. Boy, more than I wanted.
I do. Well, I was just gonna say sometimes I do think that perspective sometimes is I really don't want to do this homework because homework sucks.
But that was the point. The point was the character interactions.
Well,
the
no,
point was
I'm saying in defense of people being upset
Sure,
by
yeah.
it. I think sometimes you're doing homework and you're like, more math equations.
Yeah.
But then you go to the store when you're 35 years old and you know how to calculate the tip.
You've done,
right?
you've done the homework, yeah.
Because you got to that point. So I do think those slogs, like those early slogs, are the reason people actually care what happens to them now.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm so excited about it. Otherwise, I just watched 6 seasons, what is it, 7 and 8? I just watched season 7 and 8. But that's why I'm so excited about it. Go ahead, Elise.
I guess it's just for me, like, when Cersei has sent Bronn to go kill Jaime and Tyrion, and there's no real resolution to that beyond them going, we'll pay you more. And Jaime goes to Cersei and he just like takes her in his arms and goes, we'll be together. Like, I kind of want them to have a little bit more of an eloquent conversation about
absolutely.
what their deeper relationship.
I do not disagree with you at all.
Feels so hollow. Like,
there was more time devoted to Jaime finding closure with Bronn than there was devoted to him finding closure with Cersei.
Yeah.
Well, we also don't know they're dead, but I do
We don't
not,
know that they're dead,
I do not disagree
but-
with you on that. Like, and I think everybody's point is actually well taken on that. On every scene where where they're closing off characters, it should have been longer. Like, it should have been the Hound and Arya should have had a little more time to talk. Jaime and Cersei, same deal. I agree with that.
Some of the dialogue that I think is there is just kind of weak too.
They may have
Like-
shot longer scenes and cut it.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I don't know, but I agree.
Varys was. Oh, do you need
Oh,
to
I was
read
just gonna.
something?
Ad read. If you can, just put that on the shelf for a minute.
Okay. I was
Sorry.
gonna say, do we need to segue into it?
I was gonna say you can make a website with all of the suggested changes you have to Game of Thrones, and let that be a portfolio for your TV directing career. That's the best I got right now. Squarespace. Hey, it's Squarespace. They're sponsoring this podcast. Squarespace will offer you tools to make a website. And why should you want a website? Aside from sharing all of your cool Game of Thrones theories, you could do that on Reddit, is what you're saying. No, you can't. Not like Squarespace. Space can allow you to do it. You got to get out there and get that millennial bread. Rise and shine. We're all making content out here. You need a website to do that. It's good for a portfolio for videos, fan art, commissions, writing, whatever your content creator dream may be in this year of our Lord 2019. Because who wants to have a normal job? Screw that. Squarespace can help you get out there and make your dreams come true. They have template designs that support all major content types. That's pages, galleries, blogs, commerce, calendars, more and more, they say. They can also authenticate you to your social profiles, letting you auto-post content to Twitter, Facebook. That's either a personal or a brand page. Tumblr, everything you could ask for. All post entries and images are optimized and tagged properly, so it does all the SEO for you. That's right. You'll be king of the internet overnight. Just go to squarespace.com/dudesoup to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Once more, that's squarespace.com/dudesoup. And I have a personal request. If you do take Squarespace up on this offer, please send me your Squarespace websites. Ooh. I love seeing every awkward corner of the internet. We were just talking before the podcast started how there was a time when the internet was more than 3 web pages. You should do your part to bring the internet back and let me enjoy that with you. So squarespace.com/dudesoup, 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you for the sponsorship, Squarespace. Let's do one thing real quick. I gotta.
Elise had something on the shelf.
Yeah, sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's
Varys,
okay.
you were about to say.
Yeah, I kind of hated how Varys went out, her torching him. I did read something quite interesting that someone theorized that he was
Free folk.
maybe on Free Folk, that he was sending his little birds with food to poison her because Varys' preferred weapon is poison. So when he was like, "Oh, she's not eating," like he wasn't concerned that she wasn't eating or drinking. He was trying to poison her. I don't know the validity of that theory, but
him and
I was
Tyrion
like,
talked about doing that.
What?
Him and Tyrion talked about.
They do
doing
in the
that
previous episode,
In the
they do.
previous episode, yeah, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and he was like, yeah,
right.
please
Yeah.
don't.
But like the thing is, like, I don't know if it was too subtle in that episode because I mean, it adds a very interesting dimension to it.
It's these are all things that are probably like scribbles from George R.R. Martin's books. It's like, and then there's a whole chapter devoted to Varys' poisoning attempt that ends up backfiring, and then it ends up backfiring, and then that's what ends up getting him killed. But in the show, it's just like, oh, they had one discussion about this, and then he talked to John once, and then they kind of just grabbed him and pulled him out.
No, it's fast. It's too fast.
All right,
Who's going to get his rings?
Yeah, it's blindingly bright in the hot take.
We got some new entrants into the hot take corner, Ryan and Dan.
Oh, at the same time?
yeah. Well, it's just because we're
Right. A little bright over here.
we're coming up
take.
on
Who
time.
let those homeless men in?
All right, boys, drop your hot takes on us.
What's your hot take?
Oh, what?
My hot take. If you wanted a storybook ending, you came to the wrong place. You
Put the
wanted
microphone towards
a
your
magic-
face.
You wanted a magic princess girl to have a storybook happy ending. This is not that place. These aren't comic book superheroes. They are not golden gods of morality. These are gray fucking characters. That's what I said. All right? Great
Boom,
characters.
hot take. Nice. That's a good hot take.
Is there more?
Yeah, a little bit more.
There's more. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, these are great characters with major flaws, and they
brought in
fight
notes?
and lose against their own personal demons. Enjoy the moral challenge of reconciling good people that you like doing things that you don't like. That's
right.
It's humanity.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
Boom.
Ryan, read your paper now.
Hot take.
Oh.
I don't have a paper, but I got it on my dome. And my hot take, it's clearly about the nuclear proliferation of the 1950s. Because if
God.
you have,
right.
if you have, no matter who you are, no matter how pure you are, no matter how heroic you are, if you have your access to the button of a nuclear weapon that is a dragon, then you will use it at some point. It will poison your mind, and you'll just kill everybody that you can see indiscriminately. So that's what I took from the episode. Also want to know, where's all the dragon shit? If you have a dragon in
right.
your movie, you should see giant mountains of shit somewhere. It's unrealistic. They're nowhere to be found.
Ryan,
They
called it a
banged
movie.
on it under that waterfall.
Ryan called it a movie too. So
He's saying all
They're
media.
feature length.
I mean, they are feature length.
When you're breathing fire, if you're a dragon, you're exposed from, your ass is exposed, so you could be breathing fire and shitting at the same time,
right.
dropping giant 3-ton turds onto your enemies. I mean, it's unexplored in the series, and I think I'm pissed about it.
What Dan said was very eloquent, but the turds, the fire
he's got
turds,
something.
might
Thank you.
be.
Dragon heart, more like dragon fart.
Right, James. You know it. You get it.
Thank you, Ryan and Dan. That was the hottest take of all.
Definitely.
Those are
Thank
great.
y'all.
Nice and
Wow.
hot.
Wow,
Those are
Ryan
great.
looked really angry there too.
so hot.
Ooh, okay.
So hot.
Wow. Well, I don't know how we can up that. Aside from, so we've been discussing literature a lot here today. I too am a fan of literature,
I know.
of the
Yes.
written word.
Yeah. Why are you looking at me? Why are you like talking directly at me?
'Cause I don't want to look at Bruce. He's about to do something
okay,
terrible.
He's threatening you.
There, some time ago, we have a segment here called Bruce Reads, where Bruce reads.
I mean, we haven't done it in probably a year, but yeah.
No, yeah, it's been a long time.
Very popular. Popular
That's
segment.
probably a segment. Yeah.
A while
was a
ago,
lot.
I want to say at least 3 years ago, Bruce read the Dust Jacket. It was a paperback, but let's just assume Dust Jacket for a book called Trigger Warning.
Oh yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
I've been reading it on Kindle. It's a quick read. It flows pretty well, small words.
You have so much time.
And I've highlighted a number of sections. So over the next 20 years or so, we'll just hit the high points. Consider this the HBO version of Trigger Warning, the novel.
Got it. Okay.
So here you go, Bruce. Let me set the scene for you.
It's weird because I know Lawrence is busy. Like I see how busy
Busy
he
at work.
is
He's
in,
busy at
in
work.
work and life. But I mean work and life. I think just in
Yeah, I
general,
see pictures
Lawrence
of
is
him
busy.
out and about in his free time doing
But
stuff.
then he comes into a
Photoshop.
room and he's like, I've been reading Trigger Warning on Kindle. And I go, how does that happen?
I don't do much else. I don't brush my teeth anymore. But so let me set the scene here. Our hero, Jake,
Yeah.
ex-Marine, college. Already conflict, right? You can just imagine it.
Yeah, yeah.
Liberal college, whatever.
terrible.
Stupid.
Who's Craig?
Craig is, so Jake was in his dorm room trying to read, study, like a good student.
Sure.
And then he hears an altercation outside. A man and a woman fighting. Jake's not my problem. But then it gets physical.
Who's Annie?
Annie is the lady. Craig is the man. They're the feuding couple, if you will.
Understood.
Jake doesn't want to get involved, but he's a good guy.
Okay.
He doesn't like seeing a man yell at and strike a woman.
Who does?
Nobody.
Nobody likes that.
So Jake, being a good Marine, goes to help, tells Craig, hey, man,
Perfect.
why don't you stop? And Bruce,
and
take
here's
us away.
And here's where we pick up.
Wait. No. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Right. Omar had to shout, wait, to run this. Oh, yeah, he changed the lighting and everything, too.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been able to do that.
Nobody uses this. I don't
Looks like
understand.
one
why.
of the lights is gonna go.
Had the
It
privilege
looks like it's
to
flickering.
do
Oh,
that.
boy, yeah. They're,
it's
that's-
No,
it's
they're flickering
mimic.
'cause fire.
It's
Got
supposed to be like
it.
fire.
It's
Okay.
fire.
All right. Starting with Craig. Craig looked around at him and said in an annoyed tone, well, this is a bad start. I'm going to start over again.
Okay.
Craig, so who's him here? Jake? I'm trying to get people into this story.
The writing is not great, and often it does confuse
terrific.
its pronouns and
All right.
subjects.
Craig-
That's just part of the writing.
Craig looked around at him and said in an annoyed tone, are you still here? This is none of your business, man. He paused. Are you one of the football players? Kelton College had a football team, but hadn't won a game in 3 years. You're big enough, but Olmsted's not the athletic dorm. I'm not a football player, Jake said. And you need to let go of the lady. You don't have to call me a lady, Annie said. Just as Jake had expected, she sounded halfway offended. I'm trying to help you. That's no excuse for perpetuating stereotypes and spreading toxic masculinity. Jake couldn't hold back a sigh. Even scared and in trouble, Annie couldn't stop herself from parroting some of the garbage that had been forced into her head. Not for the first time in the past half dozen years since he'd enlisted, Jake found himself wondering if the people he fought to defend really deserved it.
Keep reading.
I don't want to. He'd always concluded that they did, but sometimes it wasn't easy to convince himself. Craig said, all right, we're going. He turned and tried to pull Annie along with him. No, she said, let me go. You heard her, Jake said as he stepped closer. Craig finally released Annie's arm, but only so he could ball that hand into a fist. He twisted toward Jake and threw a punch. Jake moved his head out of the way and said, stop it, man, while you still can. Ooh. I'm not scared of you, Craig shouted. I don't care how big you are. I know Krav Maga. He had just started. He had just started some sort of fancy martial arts move when Jake hit him with a left hook to the belly. Craig's eyes got so wide, Jake could see the whites of them even in the bad light. As he started to double over, Jake swung a right cross to the jaw that snapped Craig's head over. Craig went down hard, pounding his face against the concrete walk. You killed him, Annie screeched. No, I could have. I just knocked him out. Didn't even break his jaw. He'll be all right. She came at him hissing and spitting. Jake didn't know many cops, but he'd known some MPs, and they felt the same as their civilian counterparts about handling domestic disturbances. Those calls were the worst, and this encounter was a living example of it. All he'd tried to do was help this woman, and now she wanted to claw his eyes out because he'd hit her boyfriend. What's the word capitalism? Anyways, he should have stayed with that weighty tome about how capitalism was the worst economic system and America was the most evil country in the world. I don't know. Instead, he had to raise his arm and fend off the punches she was throwing at him. Although the blows were ineffective enough, he probably could have just stood there and taken them without any harm being done.
Because he's a cool dude. Sorry, I shouldn't have.
You fascist! She screamed. You oppressor! Hell, lady, Jake said, knowing the word would get under his skin again. How'd you know I used to be in the army? He decided he might as well turn and walk away and let her do her worst. He was about to do that when Craig groaned. The sound made Annie break off her attack and drop to her knees beside him. She lifted him into a half-sitting position and held him against her. He seemed like he was still too groggy to know what was going on. Jake heard a sudden rush of footsteps behind him and turned to see several black-clad figures charging him. He couldn't make out their faces, and when they yelled, fascist, fascist, and the words were muffled, he knew why. They were wearing hoods over their heads. Then they were on him, swinging bicycle chains with locks on them, metal pipes, and other objects turned into clubs. And this peaceful night on the small, elite college campus turned into a fight for his life. Who were the people at the end with hoods?
That was Antifa. Sorry, spoilers.
I just want to say that there was this little bug crawling around, and I thought it was making its way for this.
Yeah.
Just because it like recognized it.
It was trash.
Hits the paper and dies.
But then Bruce put a sheet of paper down, and I think the paper hitting it killed it. Which is a shame.
Wow.
So yes, that is the instigating action and trigger warning.
So he almost beat up a woman, it sounded like.
No, she was beating on
She was
him, and he was
spitting
just like,
and hissing,
whatever.
as women are wont to do.
Yes.
I do like that there's a line from her that's no excuse for perpetuating stereotypes and spreading toxic masculinity, to which he is toxically masculine and stereotypes.
That's great. Well, I mean, because that's how it really is.
That's true. That's true.
And if she weren't brainwashed by leftist liberal education, she'd be okay with it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Thank you, Bruce, for sharing fine literature with us.
Great. Yeah, no problem.
I have a whole lot more of this book highlighted.
I'm sure you do.
Perfect.
So don't worry. As the months go by, we'll hear about Jake and his travels. I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a scene where they introduce the bad guy, and he kills one of his own henchmen to prove how awesome he is.
Oh, nice.
What a surprise.
They totally break everything in this book. It's just snapping all the chains.
Never happened
It's
before.
great.
What is this book called?
Trigger warning.
Of course.
Look it up, Elise.
Okay.
Okay.
The dude also writes a ton of westerns and stuff.
Oh, okay. That makes it all right.
All right, so we're coming up on the end here. I got a couple of stats to throw out for
Okay.
you, going
Yeah,
back to
yeah,
Game
I
of
like
Thrones a little
these.
bit. This is from the R Game of Thrones subreddit, the shitty one,
Oh, yeah.
apparently.
Not free folk.
Nealers.
You're just Song of Ice and Fire, right? Those are
No,
the competing ones. Is it Game of Thrones?
we respect A Song of Ice and Fire.
Understood.
Though we don't always agree with their mentality, but we look down upon.
I just think it's
R/Game of
interesting
Thrones.
because the free folk did bend the knee in the narrative of the.
They had to, or else they would have been killed
Please
by the White
continue,
Walkers.
Lawrence.
Yes. Okay. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what score would you give this episode? They gave it a 6.3.
Oof.
Last week's episode got a 6.2. The season's second and third episodes managed 7.9, and the premiere 7.5.
See, that's the thing that's so weird about it. Because last week's episode, I remember last week's episode, people were also upset about because they felt like nothing happened. Like that, these are just general, like when you check Twitter afterwards or whatever.
Check
And
the-
obviously, I pick my own people that I follow or whatever. But like the general was that, man, nothing happened. But it felt like it was like, all right, now we're gonna close some of these stories and then move on to the next one. But people didn't like that either.
Can't argue with facts and logic, James.
That's true. That's fair.
On how well written was this episode on a scale of 1 to 10, the average is a 4.9. Yowza.
This is a survey from the Game of Thrones subreddit.
Game of Thrones
the one
subreddit,
That free folk looks down on. Just want to make sure.
Survey of more than 133,000 Thrones fans from that subreddit. Yeah. I don't know if they all, or if this is the number of people, but that's what the thing says. Anyway, was Daenerys Targaryen justified in her actions? Had she been provoked to the point where this was justified? A whopping 86% said no, she was not justified in raising King's Landing.
But that's a weird question because they're
It's a dumb
asking they're
question,
asking the audience's morality.
Yeah, not
They're not asking
the morality of the
character's
world,
morality
which is
in the
different.
world. Yeah. Oh. Well.
Yeah.
Between which of these two battle episodes was your favorite? Between the Battle of Bastards and the Battle for King's Landing? 79% said Battle of the Bastards.
Oh yeah,
there's
it's
a-
that's
amazing.
One
amazing.
wasn't even. I mean, it wasn't even a
Incredible.
battle.
Yeah.
It was basically just special effects of
It was a
fire
slaughter.
consuming
Yeah.
And like
everything.
throwing a bunch of foam bricks at Arya
Yeah.
while she flies around. On a scale of 0, totally unsatisfying, to 10, totally satisfying, how satisfying did you find Clegane Bowl? 7.1.
Huh.
Passable, but not great.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm okay with that too. There wasn't a whole lot of catharsis in it. It was just a zombie getting stabbed a lot, and then he slow-mo tackled him through a wall into fire. Like, it was the most generic action movie
I
ending.
mean, he did beat him in sword fight a couple times. You know,
That's true.
the Hound won.
Yeah, you're right.
If he
Yeah.
were a normal dude, he would have died. The Mountain would have died a couple of times.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But I could understand. Clegane Bowl is weird because that's something that the fandom built up
I didn't think it would ever
more
happen.
than I think the show ever did. But I didn't think it was actually. I was like, I don't think this is actually going to happen in the show. Kind of like Lady Stoneheart. Like I was like, I don't think this is actually going to happen in the show. I'd be surprised if it showed up. So I was more surprised that it actually unfolded.
Yeah.
But that skewed my perspective. I
I thought it was good, but I honestly was kind of hoping, I think, for something more like the Hound or the Mountain and the Viper, like of what's his
That's an
name?
amazing fight.
Oberyn
like
and
a
Mount, like
Coliseum and
it's-
like
I kind of wanted to
controlled
see
circumstances. What?
The guy who
no
got-
Oberyn.
Oh, it was
I,
Oberyn.
I
Oberyn,
kind of
yeah.
wanted to
did
see
boys
which by the way, like the Hound or the Mountain
Million
has
years
like
ago.
one finisher, which is this.
The eyes, yeah.
But I kind of wanted to see, you know, part of the beauty of that Mountain and Viper episode is the reactions of everyone watching it go down. So for Clegane Bowl, I like wanted Cersei to be there and see her like champion go down. I wanted Arya to be there and see the Hound. Like I wanted
That's a
the
good point.
spectator stands, which we didn't have. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool fight still, but I wanted the ramifications of the people, witnessing it. Which
That's a good point.
Well, yeah, I don't know how to segue into this one.
Good luck on that one. You know what? One thing Game of Thrones time didn't have? Loans.
Good credit, yeah.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
well, I mean,
The
oh my gosh,
Iron Bank.
damn it.
What were you gonna say? You gonna say something?
Oh, she's melting.
Man, I'd hate to be the Iron
can
Bank
break the
right
set.
now. They must be really
can break
worried
the
about
set.
their
That's kinda
financial
right.
situation.
Damn it. Harry
If only-
Strickland could not, the Golden Company could
Oh,
not
yeah.
Oh, there we go.
save Cersei from the
by
Iron
the way-
Bank.
Boy, I understand it. I do look like that guy, but man, it's been wall to wall on Twitter. They should have just cast me. Is what I'm saying.
No,
I do think it's funny that guy going there, like he's telling his friends, he's like, "I was cast in Game of Thrones." They're like,
Guess who's on Game of Thrones? This guy.
to do what?
6
How many lines do you have? Oh, it's more about screen
You looked
time.
exactly like him, by the way, when you were doing the Confused and Lost.
That's probably how he looked on set too. And they're like, "Where are my sides?" And they're like, "You don't need
Sides?
them. Yeah, just you're fine."
Yeah.
Just stand there.
Again, kind of like
Do
Euron.
I need a mic?
Kind of like Euron and the Golden Company. I feel like these are relics of things George R.R. Martin told them were going to be very important in the books, and they're like, "Okay."
Well, logistically, that is important.
It
Or
is.
It was,
But
now
is
it's
it?
not.
Do we know? Like,
Well,
I
a
mean,
dragon
who
apparently
knows?
sweeps
But,
everything
like,
off the mark.
but there was a lot more going on in the Golden Company in the books.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot more, like very important, a lot more shit happening there.
just like there's a lot more going on in your financial
Nice.
life.
Nice.
Good just second second.
All right, this podcast is sponsored by Upstart. Upstart is a lending platform that offers smaller interest rates to help you pay off high interest debt. That's credit card debt, student loan debt, what have you. The thing Upstart would like you to know is that they don't go by traditional credit scores. So they reward you based on your education and job history to inform an interest rate. So it's not purely by just your credit history, but more about your life situation and your life trajectory. And because of that, they might be able to offer you a smaller interest rate than what you're currently paying on whatever debts you may be trying to pay off. They say the best part is it's fast, simple, and easy to check your rate in just a few minutes without affecting your credit score. That's another weird thing. When you run a lot of credit checks, it actually makes your credit score go down because it makes it seem like you're not secure in your credit or that you're about to borrow a lot of money. So they have a way to check your credit that doesn't affect it. And once the loan is approved, most people get their funds in the next business day. So you can stop paying high interest right away. Over 200,000 people have used Upstart to pay off credit card debts, student loans, fund their wedding, make large purchases. Always just be responsible about it. But this is the point, is that maybe you can find a way to pay less money in the end. So go to upstart.com/dude to find out how low your Upstart rate can be. They say that checking your rate only takes a few minutes, and again, it won't affect your credit. You can do that right now at upstart.com/dude. Once more, that's upstart.com/dude. Doesn't hurt anything to look at your options. And especially if you're paying a lot of interest, your options might be better than what you're doing right now. So yeah, upstart.com/dude. Thank you for the sponsorship. And thank you, everyone. Real quick, I want to do a lightning round. Lightning round. End of the episode. I have a list of bad TV finales here.
Okay. I saw the list.
Yeah.
I looked at it too.
I looked at it.
It's whatever.
Are you gonna ask our opinions on it?
Yeah, I want upper, higher, or lower. Gabe.
Well,
I'm
we
trying to
have
think of how to do this. It's not confusing.
Could Game of Thrones Hail Mary with this final episode? I don't know. But
I think
they've already
seems-
closed off a lot of things
If-
that they could have done right.
If you are not into it, I don't know that there's anything that can happen in the
Maybe,
final
yeah.
episode that'll be like, I do now love the show
pot pie?
again.
Pot pie
Unless
back?
you are very, very, Hot Pie is the
Or
one who's
I called him
chosen.
pot pie. I don't even know his name.
Hot pie, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, hot pie. All right, so for each of these, and you can all just say it at once, doesn't matter, it's a lightning round. Say whether or not you think Game of Thrones is better or worse. So better if Game of Thrones is better, worse if Game of Thrones is worse.
But then the finale?
yeah,
We
which
haven't
hasn't
seen the
happened
Game of
yet.
Thrones finale.
Hasn't happened yet,
Okay.
but based on where you think it's going.
Okay.
Conclusion.
Got it.
Speculate,
Yeah,
speculate.
got it. This is science. Got it.
All right, yes, it's very scientific. Facts and logic.
Okay.
Seinfeld.
Better for me. I like Game of Thrones better.
Worse.
Ooh.
I actually really
Yeah.
loved the Seinfeld finale.
I was like one of the weird people that
I did too.
I didn't
Loved it.
hate it. I was
thought
like,
it-
we
I thought
got
it was great.
everybody again.
That was great.
Par.
Okay. All right.
Maybe
Good
par.
answer.
Dexter.
Didn't
Never
see it.
saw it.
All right.
So I'm gonna say Game of Thrones better.
Game of
all
Thrones is better.
Fair enough. Futurama.
Didn't
Oh.
see the finale.
I did. Game of Thrones better.
All right.
What?
I don't remember how bad it was.
It
Or how good
ended
it was.
so
People think
heartwarming.
Futurama was bad?
I think it was good, but I mean, like, Game of Thrones is awesome. I'm
Futurama
loving
is awesome.
The ending of Futurama though?
Yeah, it
literally
ended,
love
it
it.
ended so
What was the
heartwarming.
premise of the last episode?
So the original was like Fry and Leela got together, but then they had to undo that.
Yeah.
Well, they do it again at the end of the,
Yeah.
the
They
get
second
back
ending.
together again.
Well, and like the world resets, right? No, the last episode they break time, so they grow old together, while the rest of the world is frozen, right? And then at the end they fix it and they get to start over and have the entire relationship again.
Christ.
It's fucking awesome.
I like Endgame better.
Endgame was better. Scrubs.
Never saw it.
Never saw.
Oh, that's where he sees. Is that where he sees a projector?
I'm throwing
I've
these out,
seen
man.
the end of it. Game of Thrones is better.
Okay. Mad Men. This I have seen. the
Never
end of.
saw it.
Haven't seen it.
Didn't see it.
But
Oh, man.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Mad Men's better. Don't know. Haven't seen it.
Okay. In Mad Men, like Don Draper almost hits like a character breakthrough, doesn't, like has a drug trip and then invents the Coke 70s ad. That's it. That's basically it.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
Glad I didn't
sometimes
watch
It ends
it.
with him winning again.
Sometimes
baby.
characters just grow.
Yeah, they
like
just
Majin
float.
Vegeta.
Quantum Leap.
Never saw it.
Absolutely didn't see that. Is that the one where he
What's
turned
Scott Bakula
into a
do?
mentally handicapped person?
That is a great episode. That's not the finale.
Ah.
No. It just basically ends with him being like, he never made it home. Womp womp. That's
Okay.
it. It's just like a title card at the end. The X-Files.
I don't remember.
Does
what
that count the
X-Files
movies?
was.
Game of Thrones is better.
So it
X-Files
leads
is-
into the movies, which
Yeah,
like the TV
that's-
series
That's
just
why it
kinda-
sucked
Yes,
because
that's why.
you had to see the movie. So like when it
right.
ended, you're like, and they're like, go watch the movie, and you're like, oh gosh, I did. By the way,
I did
Say
too.
Game of Thrones then.
Game of Thrones.
Dinosaurs.
I don't know.
Oh,
Oh.
worse than dinosaurs.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
think Dinosaurs is great?
I mean, it's horrible, but it's such a fucking like. I
Did
was
it
like,
end with the asteroid or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dinosaurs was a puppeteer, like a puppet show that happened in what, mid-90s? It was basically
Yeah,
like
Jim
the
Henson's,
Flintstones,
yeah.
yeah. But
this is awesome. It was a great show.
it was a
I like
kind of
Dinosaurs.
it was a comedy, like a sitcom, and then it ends with the meteor that extinguishes all the
No,
dinosaurs.
no. It's the construction company kills off a certain amount of there's certain animals that were living in the woods that Earl Sinclair would knock down.
Uh-huh.
And then they're like, please don't do it. And then they end up killing that, which then the extinction of that species causes this certain plant life to overgrow, which causes it's like this. It creates this environmental chain reaction. It's more like global warming.
Oh, I
than
thought it was
is-
the meteor. Like
No, it is about the extinction of the dinosaurs. But unless I'm crazy, I believe there is actual industrial action that the dinosaur world takes to try and like
Really?
move forward for
Boy.
the sake of industry. That I'm pretty sure then causes a chain reaction of things. And every time they try and
prophetic.
do a new thing to fix the problem, it makes the problem worse
That's
until
intelligence.
the temperature of the planet drops and it brings in the ice age. And the last
Oh.
shot is them looking out their window as snow starts to fall. And it pulls out slowly and quietly, and they're all like I think the baby who's like the comic release is like, Daddy,
Oh, God.
are we gonna survive? And he's like, we'll see, son, we'll see. And then like
What am I
pulls
thinking
away.
of? You're absolutely right, though. From Wikipedia, the series finale of Dinosaurs, titled "Changing Nature," depicts the irresponsible actions of the dinosaurs toward their environment and the ensuing ice age, which leads to their demise.
Dinosaurs is a great show. There's also an episode where Robbie does steroids, and no joke, it's the coolest looking version of that. Like he gets fucking shredded. It's awesome.
All right. And then the inevitable reference, Lost.
I never watched. I watched.
The Lost. Did you ever watch the Lost series finale?
Yes, but I had only seen I've only seen the pilot of Lost and the series finale.
That's right.
I watched like all of season 3, and then that's like it or something. I don't somewhere in
It's
the middle.
way better than Lost.
I watched seasons 1, 2, and 3, and then I watched every other episode for however many other seasons it went. Then I watched the series finale, and it was one of the worst series finales I've ever watched, ever of all time. It was terrible. I couldn't stand it.
I watched every single episode of that show as it was airing with parties with my friends, and I regret that part of my life.
Yes, absolutely.
I actually am actively. I hate that I spent time watching that show
Me too.
because of the finale.
Me too, Omar. Me too.
People seem to be comparing Game of Thrones to Lost, but I don't know. I guess
Doesn't
it's the
sound like
same
it's
in
that
different
vicious.
situations, but it felt like again, no commentary on Lost. I have not seen enough of it to say, but it felt like the driving momentum of that show is the mystery.
It was,
and
yeah.
I think when you don't pay off a mystery, that's really, really bad.
That's what they did over and over and over. They didn't pay it off.
Even if the
More?
characters are good. Like I feel like
Two
it's
more.
Oh no, that's it.
Oh, sorry.
Unless you have one.
I just watched 2 phenomenal series finales.
Oh,
Veep,
yeah.
Veep was awesome, and Broad City was like wonderful.
Oh, Broad City's okay.
Broad City.
Oh man,
I love Broad City.
I was
pretty close
weeping.
perfect. Like, you know, you
Omar,
say, like,
I
you watched
teared
that
up.
season?
Yeah, I teared up at the end.
Yeah,
of it.
I
It
was
was
like,
it was so well done.
It felt like me, like watching that, saying goodbye to like my best friend back home. Like I don't. It was just yeah.
They're both great shows.
Yeah,
Both great shows.
they're awesome. Both went out on top.
I guess don't.
Just like this podcast.
Yeah.
All right,
I was
you were
just
about to
saying,
say something.
there's a lot of great television out there. Sometimes you need to look for it. Like, so.
My Hero Academia.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to.
I know.
That and Baki season 2.
Dragon Ball Majin Buu arc.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening to Dude Soup this week. Bit of a no post show today. We got some plans in the works though. That might be morphin', maybe not. We got some things going on. So yeah, look forward to that. We will not fully ignore our fan base for too much longer. But this week, yes, we are ignoring you. So sorry about that. Let's see, is there anything else going on in the world of Funhaus we should talk about?
RTX.
RTX is coming up. Yep, buy those tickets. Come and see us.
I think if they don't buy tickets before May 24th, they will not get autograph sign-up codes.
There is a Funhaus 15 is a coupon
Is that
code.
still
You get
active?
15%
It might be
off.
only active for like another day.
I don't know.
Dang.
I really don't know if that's active or not. Funhaus 15 is the code.
Until you can use it until June 15th.
RTXevent.com. Get your tickets. I think we got new merch, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah,
I'm
on the
out of
way.
the loop. I'm sorry.
We got huge weekend on the channel.
Yeah.
Huge.
I don't remember.
Huge.
my schedule. Oh yeah, I do remember.
Rage 2 gameplay. Yeah. Mega Man 2.5D gameplay.
Finally.
Wow,
God,
we did it.
that was like a year ago.
Lost City of Vampires gameplay.
Lost City of Vampires is going to be. That's a sleeper hit there.
And then
Calling it already.
I don't think you could do that with sleeper hits.
Star Wars.
Oh.
The Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace episode 1, the Phantom Menace gameplay.
Coming this week.
Not a
That's
sleeper hit. Everybody will love that.
That's a big weekend.
Yeah, big weekend coming up. So make sure to get rested, get hydrated, get ready. Thank you all for listening to Dude Soup Podcast. We'll be back next week with, I don't know, stuff. So thank you guys, and thank you. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Digital magic.
We didn't talk at all about Sonic this week.
I don't like the fact that everybody could call out me, we'll change Sonic, and they're like, we'll change Sonic. Because what about the next time when they come out and they're like, not as good.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Well, and I don't think the problems with the design. I think there are fundamental flaws with this movie's story and structure, et cetera. That's not anything to do with
So
like,
now we're gonna get a version of this movie
God don't